everyone, it is Sonoma Mulvihill, Miss South Coast Teen, and welcome to episode 3 of Conversations of the Crown, which is a series where I interview Forever Miss California teen title holders to get to know their journey and life with the crown and also help prepare me if I were to win the title this upcoming June. So I have the pleasure of interviewing Violet Joy Hansen today, who was Miss California's Outstanding Teen 2017. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, so I'm officially here with Violet Joy Hansen, and I'm just going to let her tell us a little bit about herself and what her current life looks like.
Sure. Hi everyone. Like Sonoma said, my name is Violet. I was Miss California's Outstanding Teen when there was an outstanding, a part of the MAOT name. I am now a 25-year-old professor of voice at Dean College here in Massachusetts. I'm repping my Cape Cod jacket. Um, and yeah, it's been a whirlwind almost 10 years later, 8 years technically, since I held the state title out in California.
Yeah, and it's still, I always say about the organization is once you're in, you're always in. And so I'm glad
Oh,
always come
absolutely.
back.
And as soon as I'm done competing one day, I will be a volunteer. So,
Yes. Yay. That's so exciting. Okay. So starting out from the beginning, I want you to just tell me a little bit how you got into MAO and how
sure.
many years did you compete before winning a local and your state title?
Yeah. So I got into competing because my theater teacher, Danielle Mercado, she was Miss Sacramento County at some point. I don't know what year, not that she would want me to say what year either. Um, and she just saw a very outgoing, girly, um, girl that like would do well within MAO and encouraged me to compete. I saw my first competition when I was 12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And at the time, I had to decide whether or not I wanted to be in the Nutcracker in the Sacramento Ballet or if I
Mhm.
wanted to be a part of Miss Sacramento County because of all the rehearsals that were a part of
Yeah.
it. So I, for a couple of years, kept picking Nutcracker. Um, and then one year I was like, all right, I've been a lot of different roles in Nutcracker. I want to give this whole crown pageant shiny hat thing a try.
Yeah.
So I competed for Miss Sacramento County. It was actually the day before my 14th birthday.
Wow.
And I prepped as hard as I could. My mom helped me a lot, and she was a um, local contestant. Never got to hold her own title, but local contestant for Miss Sacramento County back in I almost said 18. Goodness, I'm not that
Way
old.
back
My God.
when.
No, in 19, um, and competed, ended up winning, and made top 12 my first year, like totally on a whim. I was
Wow.
very new to everything.
Mhm.
The second year came back, did everything the way that other people wanted me to do it. Made the top 12, top 11, whatever that number was that year
Yeah.
again, but couldn't break into the five. And the next year I decided that the rules being what they were at the time, it was my last shot at teen. So I was going to do everything the way that I wanted to do it. So
Good. Yeah.
after everyone telling me for years and years, don't do a double talent, don't do a double talent, I was like, I'm doing a double talent.
Yeah.
Um, just because me being able to sing opera and do ballet on point, it's very weird and random. So being able
But
to,
that's kind of what always works out sometimes.
yeah,
The
yeah.
random.
So right. But we ended up finding an aria that the whole point of the aria is that she is a ballerina. So usually they'll put opera singers in point shoes and then they kind of like don't really know how to walk and it's very awkward. So like being able to really just embrace that full character and then like fully be a ballerina while singing an aria and all the things. Won that year, went to MAOT, had a great time, went to college. My undergraduate voice teacher, he was actually one of my judges at MAOT.
Oh,
Very random,
of
very
all like the
surreal.
people, yeah.
Right? Yeah, so I was as I was touring all these different colleges around, my parents and I were walking through the music department and we were looking at a catalog of all of the different faculty and I was like, that's my MAOT judge. So we went upstairs
Uh-huh.
on his door and I was like, "Hi, do you remember me?" And he was like, "Yes, I do. I can fix your voice." So he ended up being my voice teacher for undergrad. Ended up being very um envious in a way of his job and kind of figured out what I wanted to do with my life in looking at what he had of being a professor and being able to be involved in the music and the theater community, but then also contractually being able to perform anywhere and everywhere as much as he wanted. Um, and then graduated from undergrad, needed a master's degree so that I could be a professor. Moved out here to Massachusetts, found really my home. Massachusetts has such a large community of
Yes.
individuals where higher education and music, I mean, out in Boston, I went to Boston Conservatory at
Wow.
Berkeley. So
Yeah, yeah.
just being surrounded by so many like-minded people with
Mm-hmm.
really similar passions and life passions as me, I've been able to like find my forever home. And then I've been competing for Miss Massachusetts for the last couple of years. I'm in
Wow.
the collegiate area right now. And I have actually Miss Mass and Miss Cal are the same week, the same day, actually, I think.
Oh, I didn't even
Um,
know that.
yeah, Olivia Acevedo, who is Miss Los Angeles County, she's one of my
Yes.
closest friends. So
He's
every
the
year we're
sweetest.
always, yeah, so every year we're always hoping to be able to watch each other, but we're both going to be busy on the same day.
Of
So,
course, like the exact same day of
right,
all.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
that was a lot of information, but
no, but I actually, that was great because I just learned so much more and that was really amazing to learn and how your whole journey and everything, even MAO still followed you through so
yeah,
many things, even through like teachers and educators.
right.
That's
Yeah. And speaking
cool.
of MAOT following me specifically, um, so our MAOT class has been so incredibly successful. So,
Mhm.
my one of my closest friends at MAOT, her name's Marissa. She was North Carolina. She was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader for 3 years, and then now she's working in Disney World and is friends
Oh,
with
yes,
her
I know which one you're
characters.
talking about.
I'm
Blonde hair,
not
right?
exactly sure if I'm supposed to say who she's friends with, but um
Yeah.
yeah, cast character wise.
Yeah.
Um and then other members were Emma Broyles, Grace
Oh, yeah.
Stanky. Like we've had such a successful MAOT class, so it's been really
I
fun. Even
know.
like
Wow.
now our group chat will still be texting each other like, "Oh my gosh, so it's been really fun to watch us all not be teenagers anymore and to see like where life has led us as adults and see for the majority of us how MAO has continued through our lives.
Yeah, still very different lives and paths, but you're still all connected, which is amazing. The group
Yeah.
chat's still alive, which
Yes.
like always, like after a bit, the group chat kind of dies off. So
Yeah.
that's so
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, so continuing on, like we talked about like your education and everything. So I did want to ask how much scholarship money you earned and how has it like impacted your educational goals and career goals?
Yeah. So I haven't tallied the number in a hot minute, but I would have to guess. I think I'm around $23,000 now.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's definitely incredible and very helpful. I will take every penny that I can get,
Yeah.
with education being just very expensive nowadays, especially as someone that is majoring in the arts. A lot of us typically don't, depending on the university, don't get scholarships like sports scholarships and things like
Mhm.
that. There usually aren't scholarships for those that are in the arts, which I think is wrong, but that's another discussion.
Yeah, totally. So again, with like school and everything, I did want to ask how you balance school and title holder work as Miss California's outstanding teen, and if you had any tips or tricks for me as a local title holder and potentially state and title holder.
Yeah. Um, As for me, while I was Miss Cal Teen, I was a senior in high school, so I was only taking maybe 4 classes. I also was going to an online charter school, which I had
Okay.
started going to a couple years prior, so that I could like take voice lessons and dance classes during the day. So I had a bit of an unconventional
Yeah.
high school experience as I was technically homeschooled, but I had 7 teachers that I could FaceTime my calculus teacher and be like, help.
Yeah. Which honestly
Um,
is probably better because,
right,
yeah,
right. But I could also do my homework at 2 a.m. and like that's my school, right?
yeah.
So it was nice having the flexibility of that. I am not envious of Kira in this last year of her being a college student. I think she
Gosh,
has,
at Berkeley and everything, I
yeah,
watch everything that she
she's
does.
done amazing. Uh,
Yes.
we love our UC family. I went to UC Santa
Yes.
Barbara, so we love our UCs. But yeah, she's done a great job. I think as far as the life balance, I mean, I think it you want to push yourself to a point where you're ever so slightly uncomfortable because uh living in that area of slight uncomfort is where growth happens.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want to push yourself so hard that you'll break. So you have
Hmm.
to remember that you are a human at the end of the day. You don't want to burn yourself out. So it's definitely like you said, just a balance and figuring out what that balance is for you, and maybe you can go really hard for 3 weeks and then you need to like take a week off or
Yeah.
something. So just kind of figuring out what works for you.
Great. Thank you so much. That's really good advice, and I'll definitely take use of all of that. So, switching kind of the topic a little bit, what was your community service initiative, and what was the most impactful thing that you feel like you did during your time as Miss California's Outstanding Teen for your CSI?
So back when I was Cal Teen, we still called it a platform.
Yes.
For my platform, it was the Ronald McDonald House Charities because when I was little, both of my older brothers had like serious blood platelet diseases.
Mm.
We never had to take advantage of the services that RMH provides because we just lived close enough that it wasn't something that we needed.
Mm.
But for those that do need those services, just having a place to stay and not having to worry about thousands of dollars of a hotel bill,
Yeah.
it helps a lot when they're already going to be paying for thousands of dollars of a hospital bill. So one of the things that I did while I was Cal Teen was I set off to try and visit every Ronald McDonald House Charities
Wow.
building or organization that was in California. Um, Quite honestly, I'm not 100% sure if I remember correctly if I was able to visit them all. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
Um, just because it was a long time ago. I think I want to say that there were 9 at the time, and I want to say that I finished them, but I
Yeah.
would need to double check that.
You know what, though? It's still an accomplishment to even be able to do
Yeah.
something so impactful and everything. So I've
Yeah,
always loved Ronald McDonald House and everything that they
yeah,
do. So that's so
absolutely.
inspiring that that was your CSI.
Yeah, and then now that I'm a miss, my CSI has changed actually
Okay.
because when I was in high school around the same time when I had my first local title, I started taking sign language.
Mm.
And it was really just a language requirement to start
Yeah.
off, honestly. But by the end of high school, I had been taking sign language at that point in at my local community college, and was able to transfer them to UC Santa Barbara.
Oh,
And I was fluent in sign language. It was a whole thing. I considered being a or like while I was figuring out if I wanted to while yeah, while I was figuring out that I wanted to be a professor, I was considering like, do I want to be an interpreter and things like that. So, um, now my CSI, not platform,
yeah.
is ASL for all.
Okay.
So just promoting sign language for everyone to learn in general, but also with my brother being a police officer, the intersectionality between first responders and sign language and how to expand upon the safety for deaf individuals, especially here in Massachusetts. There's a very large deaf population, so making sure that just because of the way someone was born doesn't make their life any harder,
Yeah.
like
They have
in
equal,
ways, right, in ways that are unnecessary. Yeah, making sure that there's equality to every extent that I can help.
yeah.
But
Great.
yeah,
That's so amazing. Yeah, because I agree. Like I think that everyone should have the full access. Even like if they,
right,
yeah, like how you said, an ambulance, if no one can understand them, then how are they going to get the care that they need
right,
and all
right.
those kinds of situations.
There's been some really scary situations where a deaf individual will be trying to communicate and a police officer thinks that they're intoxicated or they're actually being defiant because the police officer is yelling at them and they don't realize they just can't hear
They
you.
don't understand. Yeah.
Right. They literally can't hear you. So like there just needs to be some other training and awareness for if someone like points to their ear, it's like I can't hear you. I'm deaf, right? So just trying to create awareness from both perspectives
Yeah.
for deaf individuals to know like, hey, if a police officer is coming towards you, maybe don't do ABCD and vice versa. So
Yeah.
just trying to increase safety, accessibility, inclusion, all the all the things that would just make the situation better.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you so much for sharing on all of that because I think it's also important. Okay, shifting again. I know
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about your talent, but I did want to ask a little bit more in depth about it and kind of what was the preparation like that for the national stage because I know that's a whole nother level and everything.
So back when I competed, MAO and MAOT were two different events.
Mm-hmm.
MAO was I want to say mid-July, down in Florida. I had 10 days between Miss California and when I left for MAOT.
Oh my goodness.
So there's no changing. We
No.
solidified my talent. I don't remember if it was the night that I was crowned or like 6 a.m. the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
I think I slept 2 or 3 hours that night.
Probably, yeah.
Right. So there's no changing it. However, I have photos of my talent that I can even show you. So, I was just teaching a voice lesson, so my piano just went off. Uh,
All
for
right, I didn't even hear it.
my talent, I had a doll box that my dad built me. It
Oh,
was
wow.
very handy. However, getting that thing to California was quite the adventure.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, let me. Stephanie took this picture. It's a very cool picture. So there's a doll. Oh, I don't know if it'll show you. There's a doll box here.
Oh my
And there's
goodness.
me like
Amazing.
jumping in the air. Um, so there's a doll box here that I jumped off of. So I started on the doll box and it was very cool. How in the world we were planning on getting that to Florida was quite the situation. So we had
Yeah.
considered sending my dad to Florida like 4 days before and building a new one.
Oh my.
Um, we had considered all of these different things. We ended up utilizing one of my dad's clients, I believe, who owned a uh, shipment company of sorts.
Yeah.
And we shipped that giant box down to
That's
Orlando.
a big
And
unit.
then,
Shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then after MAOT, we left it backstage. We left it there. So
For the
it,
memories, it can, that's its new home. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, preparation for MAOT, like it was mainly just like, what are you wearing and go. Because there's no time to change
There
anything.
was that turnaround. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's
They
no
think,
time to change anything. So
yeah.
I think Saturday Jillian was crowned or maybe it was Sunday, I don't remember. And then the next day we went down to Mia Bella, tried on dresses, tried to figure out what in the world we were doing, what we were wearing. I mean, Jillian had like 2 or 3 months where I had 10 days, right? So
Yeah.
um and then when you got down to MAOT, they would give you the opening number dress, the fitness outfit, I think it was mostly those two. Um, so yeah, it was really just a change of wardrobe. Like there was no other time. And then just trying to recoup from Miss Cal week because
It's
my Miss Cal
exhausting.
week, well, so my Miss Cal week, we were there for 10 days.
Oh, wow.
It was I want to say 5 days full of events.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that it used to be was it was one show. Act one was teens, act two was the Miss.
Oh my
And
gosh.
everyone did one phase of competition a day. That was it.
So you were just competing day after
So
day.
yeah, it was interview one day, 3 days of prelims, finals, Miss finals, Mia Bella, go home, try and recoup. They send you videos for opening number for MAOT, and then you're gone. You fly out to
Yeah.
very
Wow.
fast turnaround.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even know that. That's honestly amazing how fast you were able to turn around and everything. I'm sure
Yeah,
it
but
was
that
a
was
surreal moment. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean that was still when there was swimsuit. That was
Yeah.
pre Miss America 2.0, and now we're Miss America 1.25. So
Yeah.
kind of figuring out where we are within all that transition. But
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much. So, also, what was your favorite memory and slash or appearance as Miss California's outstanding teen?
ooh, there were a lot of them. One of the things that was always my favorite thing to do as a state title holder was just perform anywhere and everywhere that I could.
Yeah.
So I think one of my favorite things to do was to go to all the local competitions, and they'll use the state title holder a lot of the time as filler uh,
Mm-hmm.
to like use their talent or do an interview or whatever it may be to let the girls backstage have some time to change and transition and everything. So I got to sing at a lot of the different locals, and that was very fun for me. I got to do a lot of the different talents that like I would have wanted to do, but weren't quite the one. But because I
Yeah.
wasn't competing, I could just kind of
You
sing
could,
whatever I wanted
yeah,
to.
perform.
Right,
You could literally just go and
right,
perform.
right. So I got to sing a lot of songs that weren't the one, but like I also just loved them just
Yeah.
as a musical theater girl.
Yeah, that's what's so fun about performing is like there's so many different things that you can do. I mean, for me, even as a dancer, my talent
Right.
last year at Miss California's Teen was a competition solo that I did my 3 years ago in high school. So it's
Sure.
fun to bring
Yeah.
back those things. So I totally understand you on that. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to ask what was going through your head when you were announced as Miss California's Outstanding Teen and how were you feeling and what were your thoughts?
After my interview, so 4 days before that, um, I think I cried because I was just so happy of just how it went. And I knew that I had just like had a conversation and I had connected with them and made them laugh and um, just had a really good time. And I had done everything that I wanted to do, which I
Mhm.
think that's part of the thing that's hard with interviews is that what questions they ask you is out of your control.
You cannot prepare properly
Not in the slightest.
ever.
However, how you handle those questions and whether you're proud of yourself for the way that you handled those questions, that is in your control. So I was proud of the way that I had handled the whole interview and the vibes of the room that you can't describe.
When you know, you know.
When
Yeah.
you know, right. So I knew at that point I was probably in the top five. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then I had done everything right during prelims. I had done everything right finals night, and it was the top five question. And that's really like kind of like a make it or break it. There's a lot of girls they'll be the front runner and then they'll kind of bomb that question and it'll get you. And it really a lot of the time has to do with just what question you get.
Hmm.
My question at MAOT was something about how what's one of the worst things that's happened to you and how did you change it around? And those questions are really hard because they're negative just right off the bat and
Yeah.
you can't you
And
can't
super broad to answer right on
well,
the spot.
yeah. But my final question at Calteen, I don't even remember what the question was, but I remember answering it, having a good answer with like a good ending. I went off stage and bawled because I just had a feeling. I was like, I
Yeah.
did it. And then going into crowning, I don't remember who was standing next to me, but looking back on it, those poor girls next to me, I'm sure I was squeezing their hands so tightly. Um, just because I was nervous and excited and waiting for them to call my name. And I do remember one thing that I don't remember which way around it was. It was either I was expecting them to say or hoping for them to say Violet and then they said Central California, or I was waiting for them to say Central California and they said Violet. I don't remember which one it was, but um whichever one I was expecting, they said the opposite one, so it took me a second to be like, "Oh, it's not Vi." Said, "Ah!" Like it took me
Yeah,
a second
it
to
didn't
process.
register at first. Yeah.
Right, right, because I was hoping for a V and I got a C, and I was like, "What is happening?" And then I realized it was my title and not my name, or the other way
Yeah.
around. I don't remember. Um, but yeah, and then I ugly cried, and then I had my hands like this, and I was covering half of my face. And now, Doug Hikawa, who was the photographer at the time, who
Mhm.
is still one of my dearest chosen family members, um, he now tells everyone the story of Violet and calls it, I think it Violetitis or something like that. I don't remember what he calls it. That when you're crowned, you like cover half your face. He was
Yeah.
like, don't do that because all your photos, you can't
Yeah.
see.
And it's just even I see
Yeah.
every girl do it for the most part because it's just
Right.
like so like, wait, what?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So that was a long version of the answer, but
No, but I literally loved that. That was so amazing to hear. And it's literally true. I've heard so many times. I remember being backstage one time for Miss California's teen, and Jasmine Avalos was standing in the back giving
yeah.
a pep talk. And she was like, when you know, you know, you'll have a
Yeah.
peace within yourself. And like, so it's just like always something that I hear. And I think that's even just good advice of like to not get in your head. And it's literally
No,
just put your best self
absolutely.
out there. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The year that um I think. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The year that I won, Savvy Shields was giving up her title.
Hmm.
And she told us that year, if you are meant to win, there is nothing that can stop it.
Yeah.
And if you are not meant to win, there is nothing that can stop it. So there's no reason to try and uh do anything, whether it's like at yourself or at another girl or
Yeah.
whatever the situation may be. Just try. I'm stealing this from our current Miss Massachusetts, who again is one of my closest friends. I'm stealing this from her, but try and win the experience over winning the title, because yes, you can have the tangible crown, the shiny hat forever if you win, yay, but also it's the experiences and the feelings of how other people made you feel, and the memories that'll really live with you and leave a lasting impression on you. So I
Mhm.
think more than anything, try and win the experience.
Yeah, amazing. That's truly such amazing advice. And I think for me, but even anyone that's watches this
Yeah.
and can go back
Hey,
and
hey, still me as I'm still competing. I still have to remember. I
no,
think
yeah.
one of the best things that I experienced within California, and just Massachusetts, I guess just all of MAO, is that I love within the competitive nature of, yeah, sure, we're all competing. It never, to me at least, has felt like I'm competing against other girls.
No.
It was always, I'm competing against myself yesterday.
Hmm.
And then I'm competing against myself a week ago, or keep going, right? So I'm competing against myself in a way to try and just be, as
Be
my
your
mom,
best self.
be the best version of yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so this is always such a notorious question, but what's next? What do you have planned for the future? I know you're talking about Miss Massachusetts and everything, so if you could
Yes.
just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I have Miss Massachusetts this summer. Um, I am an adjunct professor right now. I say I'm the world's youngest professor to my students. I do go by Prof V, which is taken after my mentor of grad school, Prof G, because she has a very long last name.
Uh-huh.
Um, I would love to be a professor either at another university or like in addition to like a secondary school. That's one of the coolest things about being here in Boston, or in Greater Boston, is that there are so many schools and so many universities that the majority of professors here teach at two, three, four different universities and different schools because you can just go two
Yeah.
blocks. There's
Why
a
not? If you can, why not? Yeah.
Right, right, absolutely. Just share the wealth, share the knowledge.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I would love to get another professorship. Let me think. What else? I have a cat. I
Oh,
love him. His name is
that's
Loki.
sweet.
So I'm officially a cat mom. It's fun to have worked for I think 18 years of school.
Wow.
And be able to take things on our fact sheet on our resume and move them from the within the next 5 years bucket list to the accomplishment section. I've done a lot of that over the last couple
That's
of
so
years.
like gratifying.
It's yes, so being able to have everything fall into place and come to fruition and work out in the way that I'm striving for, but also the way that God wants it to is really satisfying.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally get you on that. Okay, final question. I know that you mentioned that maybe you want to eventually volunteer with MAO once you're all done. What would be your dream volunteer position? Like, what would your like run your own local, or would you want to be a hostess, or what would be your dream like job?
So this is years down the
Yeah,
line, but
totally.
I would love to run a state organization. I think having been to MAOT, hopefully being maybe being able to experience going to America one day. Fingers crossed.
Yes, I'm seeing all
Um,
the vibes. Yes.
right. Um, I just being able to prepare girls for nationals and but also making sure that they enjoy the experience and get
Mhm.
everything out of the job that they want. But also making sure that all of the contestants know it's a job.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work and a lot of dedication, but it's worth it if you just let yourself deep dive into it. Um, but within the next 10, 20 years. Um, After 20 years, I would love to run an organization. Within the
Yeah.
next 20 years, I would like to just train girls for specifically talent. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, of course, being that that's the field that I'm in, having been raised a ballerina and now being a singer, within like every genre, which is the goal, right? I think that's my niche is just artistic crossover.
Yeah.
Uh, I just love training girls for the talent phases of competition because that's my shtick, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's so inspiring, and you've clearly accomplished so much with your life already, and you have so much already even further down the line planned. So I'm so excited to see how it all falls together.
Me
I just
too.
yeah. Yes. So for anyone that wants to watch all of that unfold, if you want to share like your social medias or where people can follow your journey, if you want to just
Yeah,
do that, and then
sure. So it's just my name. Everything is attached to my name. I don't post on TikTok as much as I should. I'm more doom scroll on TikTok, but Instagram
yeah.
and Facebook I try to stay updated with. And then yeah, and then in the next year or so it'll transition. My pages will transition more from contestant pageant life to more education and
Mhm.
collegiate focused.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not, but
I
social
get
media
you.
wise
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really had so much fun getting to know you and your journey, and I continuing your journey and everything. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for taking out your time to meet
of
with
course.
me.